It's BJ from Chew on This and Nerds United podcast, and I wanted to take a minute to thank our listeners and tell you about an opportunity on how you could be a part of the Chew crew. So Chew on This has now joined Patreon, where loyal listeners like yourselves can go and pledge donations to help fund our podcast. You can pledge as little as $1 a month, and we will give you a well-deserved shout-out. Higher pledges will bring you exclusive content and other rewards. We really appreciate you, our listeners, and your continued support for Chew on This. We want to bring you high-quality podcasts, and Patreon and your continued support will help us succeed in that. So please visit Patreon, that's Patreon, patreon.com/Chew on This podcast. You can visit that site for more details and become our patron today. And now enjoy another episode of Chew on This, a Nerds United podcast. Welcome to episode 62 of Chew on This, a Nerds United podcast. I'm BJ.
Vic.
Welcome, everybody. This is our 1-year anniversary show. Can you freaking believe it?
Wow. I can't believe it's actually been a year because sometimes it seems like, holy God, we've been doing this forever. but
Like,
overall,
I got to go to my job.
Yeah, overall, it's blown by pretty fast.
It has gone by pretty fast. I think in the beginning it was a little slow. And then,
Yeah.
And then it just kind of like just.
So hopefully, while you're listening to this, or not while you're listening to this, but hopefully you actually caught us on Good Day Sacramento that was airing this past Saturday. But hopefully we have a clip of it. Like everything else, we always record early, so hopefully we were able to get a clip that you can watch with us. If not,
otherwise we'll have two different versions of this podcast come out. Like one will say like, "Hey, that was a great show, Vic," and the other one's like, "You fucking idiot, you didn't record it."
Yeah. So I hope we didn't suck if you saw it. So because we have no idea,
and we're a lot smaller than we are on TV.
I have
TV puts on a lot of weight.
How many cameras were on us? And I'm hoping I didn't curse on live TV too. So this is our intro. This is our intro to our 1 year. Again, we can't believe that we've actually done this for a goddamn year.
Yeah, and we're up to episode 62. So a year usually be 52 weeks, right? Yeah. So we did some double episodes there, here and there.
Yeah, and this one's going to be a double episode too, so keep that in mind. So it'll be 62.1 and 62.2.
There you go.
So this one we're just going to go over some of our highlights. We'll have some audio clips here, and then we'll have an interview with our good buddy for the podcast is Kenny Sheldon, who does all the music for the show. So we thought it was right to get him on. So stay tuned for that after this. When we were thinking about this episode, we were trying to figure out, well, what the hell are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about us for fucking 45 minutes. We're not that interesting. Yeah. So one of the interesting things we came up with was we actually forgot to mention how we actually came up with the name. So we thought this would be a good way to do it. It
was kind of a joint effort because when we decided that we were going to do the podcast, we went through a lot of different names.
I wish we remembered the names so we can read them off.
They were bad. So they were pretty terrible.
So the Chew on This part, the Nerds United podcast, I think I came up with after we came up with the first part.
Yeah.
And the reason why so the Chew on This part comes from the actual word chew. So I was like, hey, you're Jewish, I'm Chinese, so chew. I was like, we can't name a podcast Chew.
Chew. And that's when I go,
that's so stupid.
Well, chew on that or chew on this, or I said something.
And I was like,
wait, that's it.
Yeah, so we'll use that, and then we'll add on a Nerds United podcast because, ironically, we didn't actually think that we were going to tackle,
issues besides movies and all that.
It just ended up being that way, that it was in our title. So we I wish I could do that with lottery tickets. That kind of foreshadowing. But that's how we came with Chew on This. It actually, the entire title is based off of the first word.
And people are like, "Are you doing like a food podcast?"
Yeah, I know.
Like,
Because if you look on iTunes, every single one that says Chew on This or Chew whatever, it's all about food. Ours has nothing to do with food.
even though we love food, and you'll
Yeah.
see that on the TV broadcast.
Or unless we get sponsors about food.
Yeah, unless we get dietary supplements.
Yeah, Hot
sponsors
Pockets or Hot Pockets.
Yeah, either way.
Yeah, dietary
GNC, we're looking at you.
Dietary supplements or Hot Pockets.
Yeah, so what, like Vic was saying, when we started this podcast, we were all about, everything nerdy, and it kind of evolved into we're big advocates for like diversity in pop culture, whether it be race or gender, et cetera. And then we've talked about other issues, I think, on the podcast. We talked about, trolling, because it's such a hot issue right now. A lot of internet trolls. So we talked about that. I think we did some other type of episodes. The one, I think the biggest one that we did was the drunk cast, which, hopefully we'll have more of that coming soon, and some other things that we're kind of thinking about.
If we were in our 20s, we'd have nothing but drunk
every week. Yeah, so the show kind of evolved from there. Instead of just reviewing things, we talk a little bit about deeper issues and stuff once in a while. So I thought that's pretty cool. And there's just tons and tons of that, and I'm sure we're going to be doing more of that to come.
So, that's how it evolved. But you can, if this is the first time you're listening to this podcast, you can go ahead and skip like the first 5 or 6 podcasts.
We were so bad in the beginning. I mean, I think we talked about it before with some other people and also offline, is that we just weren't natural. We knew we were being recorded, so we were,
speaking like we were being recorded.
Yeah.
It's so funny how you need a speaking voice to be in front of a microphone because you're just not used to it. It's just odd to be, have to get comfortable being yourself just in front of a microphone, and not to mention that we didn't have equipment.
Yeah, that's very true. I think we were doing it over cell phone in the beginning, but it just didn't sound very natural. And also, we really didn't know what we were doing. We didn't write anything down or talk about anything.
Sometimes we still don't know what we're doing.
Yeah. But it's a little more like, instead of a 3-hour podcast, it's we got it down to 45 minutes to an hour now. So we kind of know when to kind of stop talking.
I think it'll always be like, if we are lucky enough to actually, we always joke about it, but if we are lucky enough to keep doing this and actually get funded for this, whereas we're breaking even doing this stuff, it'll still be like we don't know what we're doing.
Give us money so we can do even less.
That's just how we want to pride ourselves and try to to have the podcast the most natural it can be. I think we've talked about off air that if we ever, we're lucky enough to get paid to do this, and somebody would try to sponsor us, other directors out there that get to do a lot of other movies and TV shows and stuff, that we would never want to
sell out.
Yeah, we would never want to. We would want to have a clause in the contract saying look, if you put a shitty movie out there, I don't care if you're giving us premiere tickets all the time, we're going to call you out on it. I'm not going to sit there and tell you that this movie is good or say that I have to keep watching it until I love it.
And he's like, well, your funding is pulled and no more tickets. We're like, oh, okay.
Thanks for all the listeners.
Yeah.
I don't care anymore.
Exactly. But
so what were some of your favorite moments that we did?
Well, so the funny thing is that we were maybe 3 or 4 podcasts in, and then Vic got a message through Facebook that asked us to do our podcast at the Sacramento Intergalactic Expo. And we were both like, why? We've done 3 podcasts and they're awful. Why would you, and they're like, no, just, come on. So we had time to practice, if you want to call it that. We just had time to kind of, do our thing. And then when it came time to do it, I felt like it went very, very well. It was a lot of fun. It was very natural. We actually had some pretty good guests on. Our first guest we ever interviewed was actual celebrity. Jeffrey Weissman, who was a very interesting guy, had a lot of really cool stories. We probably could have talked to him for a long time, but that was a really fun time that actually got me thinking more and more about doing more of that and figuring out how to do that. So that might be something in the cards for us later on. Do more cons and whatnot. Um, I know what your favorite moment is, or one of them, because it was mine too. But Rancho Obi-Wan
Yeah.
was fucking amazing.
Yeah, the mecca of Star Wars collectibles and Star Wars. Um, it's God, it's Star Wars overload.
Yeah.
It's such Star Wars overload. It's a good thing. I wish you could actually go back like back to back days, like it was like Disneyland or something.
Yeah.
Because there's so much to take in.
You're like, I just need to take a break, go back to my hotel, man.
Yeah,
and come back.
can I get off my feet?
Yeah, yeah. But there was so much stuff to see, and Steve Sansweet was such what a class act. Just a really nice guy, and Anne, who was also there, she was fantastic. But that was probably my favorite moment, was being able to interview Steve Sansweet in Rancho Obi-Wan with all the Star Wars collectibles around us. That was such a treat.
We've had some. I mean, those are the big highlights that we actually went someplace else instead of like our, actually have a recording studio now. But, where I was recording in like the guest bedroom, it was someplace
the garage.
But we've had other highlights too. I mean, John Marcotte, who's been on the podcast twice, Cody Stark, who has now been on the podcast twice. He'll be in the part 2 of this episode. We've also had Ben Schwartz. On the show. We've had a bunch of guests on the show where it's great to meet new people and find out, their love. We had the Sack who Carolyn Meyer was on the show.
Mm-hmm.
We've met a lot of great people. And that's the other thing that was really great about this podcast is to be able to network with like other nerds. We met a lot of people, interacted with a lot of people, and even though we review a lot of stuff, the expo was probably the best thing that we did all year. If looking back on hindsight, even though Rancho Obi-Wan was huge, we basically got that podcast episode to be done because we got the expo, we got Cody Stark on, and he gave us, he let us know some information that we could get on get to Rancho Obi-Wan to be able to actually interview Steve. So everything, we owe a lot to that expo, and I'm probably going to do it again this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, it kind of opened the door, not just for, the podcast itself, but also for us as far as like a little more confidence in what we're doing and getting excited about some future prospects. And also it kind of like gives, again, that confidence like allows us to, well, shit, if we're able to call this guy and get an interview with this guy, why not try this guy? And why not try this and that? So, one of my biggest goals, I don't know if we'll ever reach it, but is to actually get to San Diego Comic-Con and do our podcast there. That's a huge, lofty goal, but there's a lot of little mini goals that we can hit or, before we get there. So we'll see in the future how that's going to shake out.
JJ Abrams and Joss Whedon still have not returned my phone calls. So we at the end of this episode, at the very end of this episode, we got Kenny coming up again. Kenny Sheldon, who does all the music for our show, and once this year we're hoping to do a lot more different shows other than just reviewing. And again, we want to do more drunk cast. But Kenny, anytime we have a new idea for a new show, Kenny wants to come up with the music, so he's coming up next. We hope you all enjoy this 1 year that we've done, and we hope you stay with us and give us money, so we can keep doing it. Anything else you want to say about this intro for the 1 year?
No, I'm just excited about Kenny doing some more music for us. So far, he's nailed it. It's been fantastic. I really enjoy like his style and his creativity and everything. Every time we do like a special podcast, the music that he uses really like. I don't know, just like how John Williams influenced Star Wars, Kenny really influences like our podcast. So it's very cool that he's doing the music for us.
Yeah. So stay tuned right now. We're gonna actually play show. What's the word to the play show?
First we're gonna introduce some I guess best of moments.
No, I think we're gonna do Kenny first,
Are
and
we
then
gonna do?
yeah, because we're gonna interview Kenny first, and then we'll end it with the best of, and then part two will be Cody Stark, who stayed on for longer than he probably wanted to.
All righty. Well, there we go. So welcome, Kenny Sheldon, who does our music.
Time is X minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
All right, so we're going to bring on now Kenny Sheldon. He's been a longtime friend of mine, and everybody who listens to this podcast, all two of you know that you've heard Kenny Sheldon's masterpiece at the beginning of every single episode. He's done our theme song for all the normal podcasts, and he also did one for our drunk podcast, which we want to do more drunk podcasts, but having a family doesn't allow you to do drunk, stupid things all the time. So, so right now, Kenny, welcome to finally getting on the show. It's been almost a year now, and you're on the anniversary show. We thought it was fitting to get you on. So, welcome.
Well, thank you.
We asked.
I mean, I'm honored to be put on for this one.
we asked somebody else that we had on a while ago. Has having the music on our podcast changed your life in any way? Are you more famous now for being known for the theme song of the Chew on This podcast?
Yeah. When I went to Rite Aid the other day, and like this 9-year-old lady came up to me, and she was like, "I listen to your podcast," and I was like, "Okay, cool." And then it turned out that it was really Vic.
So a little bit of background about me and Kenny. I've known him for a real long time, and we actually met because we were at that point in time. I was trying to play music a lot. Kenny by far is the most talented musician I've ever met, and when me and BJ decided to do this podcast, I knew I couldn't come up with the music, so I was thinking, who do I know that could come up with this stuff? And at that time, you still are. You're still rocking out. You're playing. You've got 3 bands going on right now. You also do that great Christmas special that you do every year.
Yeah, this was the first year, actually, that I didn't have a Christmas tour. In the last 5 years, I had 4 years in a row, 2 different bands doing winter tours. This is the first year in a while that I haven't done that. So I'm glad that I'm doing this. This makes me very happy. This is something that I've enjoyed doing for you. It's not something I could say that I necessarily pictured myself doing at any point, but it's definitely been fun. And before, actually, I also did the Judge Judy podcast thing, the pseudo podcast thing.
Oh, right. That's right.
Remember that one?
Yeah.
I know it was so long ago.
Yeah, Kenny was the lead guitarist in the band that we were trying to form, and those were we did a lot in a short amount of time that we played together. I think it was we were only playing together for 3 or 4 months. But a lot happened in those 3 or 4 months.
We had a lot of cool acoustic shows. Oh yeah.
Okay, so quick story. So me and Kenny, it's just me and Kenny, right? And we're playing acoustically. We're doing coffee houses. We're doing bars, open mics. So we get a couple of gigs, and I find this advertisement for some place in South Jersey radio station that wants to do a battle of the bands type thing. We go down there, and they actually listen to our shitty little recording on actual cassette. That's how long ago this was that we were actually still recording on cassettes. So nice. We go down there and they actually say, yeah, come on, you guys can play live. So I was like, fuck, that's awesome. Cause me and Kenny were only together, I think for a month at that point in time. So we go down there, we play our music. And what we didn't know was that on top of, doing the Battle of the Bands thing, they were doing a wet t-shirt. Was it a wet t-shirt contest, Kenny? Something like that?
Yeah, it was kind of they had girls come in, and I think they were gonna audition them to be in some commercial or something.
Yeah, something weird. But basically we had no idea this was gonna happen. So they brought this chick in, right?
Right.
and she's with her boyfriend, and they tell her boyfriend to like wait outside, and so it's me, Kenny, the two hosts, and this chick in the room, and and halfway through the interview with this girl, they ask her like what she thought about us, and what she wants to be or whatever. I wasn't paying attention, so they ask her halfway through to like take her shirt off, and I'm like, is this fucking really happening like right now on live radio? So she takes her shirt off, right there in front of, right between me and Kenny, and I'm like, okay, this is actually happening.
For
This
all
hap-
of
yeah.
for all of live radio
Yeah,
to
for all
see.
of live radio to see, all four of us. So what I didn't tell you in the beginning of the story was that the girl had a really great body, right? Really great chest, but
Right.
her face was just not there. If her body was like maybe like a 9, her face was like a 2, right?
Oh
So
boy.
so those two fuckers, the host, the two radio host DJs, ask me what I think
Oh, they
about her.
set you up. They set you up.
Yeah, and they ask me like
Yeah, totally.
what I think, and I'm like, I don't know. And I go, Kenny, what do you think, right? Because the two guys don't say anything, I don't say anything, and we all three of us just it was like everybody just kept passing the buck. Nobody wanted to say anything. And we're all thinking the same fucking thing, right? We're all thinking this chick's got from
Right.
the neck down, this
Yeah.
chick's perfect. So I'm like, fuck it, I'm not gonna fucking she's standing right there and her boyfriend's outside. I'm not gonna fucking tell her face looks like shit. So
Right.
I say, Kenny, what do you think? So Kenny actually tells her, like, I think you got a great body, but I'm not too sure about your face.
It's like
Right fucking there. She got so pissed.
Oh.
She got so pissed. It was hilarious. And as he's talking, I'm like, oh my God, he's going to go for it. He's actually going to say it. He's going to say it. He's going to fucking say it. And he fucking does.
Yep.
On live radio.
God.
On live radio.
Live fucking radio right there.
And meanwhile,
Wow.
the boyfriend's outside. He wasn't in the room, and it's not, we're recording it to be put on the radio around 10 minutes later. And and we come outside, and the boyfriend's like, "Oh, hey guys, how you doing? How you doing?" We both shook his hand, and I know I got right out of there.
Yeah, we left.
No interest in talking to the boyfriend afterward.
Oh my God.
But we heard it on the radio right when we came out, and people were calling up and saying, "Oh yeah, this girl sounds busted." And
oh my gosh, that is hysterical. That's horrible. Poor thing. Oh my God.
He didn't say it in any way, like in a mean way. He was just basically being honest. Like all three of us chickened out. Kenny was the only one that had balls and basically said what all of us were thinking.
And I think they just had people on because they didn't expect the bands to be good. They didn't expect the girls to look good. And if they did, that's great. But if they didn't, something like that could happen.
Yeah, I think that's just one
Or
big
the band
setup.
would suck,
That's
which they thought we were going to suck.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So that's like your first
yeah.
and last time on the radio, and that pretty much was it, huh?
That was ours, yeah. That was mine and yours only radio time.
Yeah.
We couldn't find a bassist or a drummer. No matter how hard we tried,
wow.
we couldn't find a bassist or a drummer. We stayed in touch, and 10 years later, you're doing music for our podcast.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I've been going to I was going to your like Labor Day like parties yearly for a while, and then
Right. I just stopped.
obviously you moved, made the big move.
Yeah.
That's
BJ, you had some.
little
BJ,
different.
you wanted to ask Kenny a couple things.
Well, yeah, I was just wondering if there's kind of anything that you're working on now, or if anything in the future you have for us, perhaps. We love the Drunk Cast. The Drunk Cast music is awesome. Like that, it's so fucking awesome. So yeah, we definitely want to do some sort of maybe some theme or something like that in the future, because the song that I was really surprised when you played the song for me for the first time. I was like, holy shit, that's got like a really cool, like, it's pretty like catchy. You know what I mean? Like I find myself singing it in my sleep sometimes. And it's got kind of like that video game quality. Yeah, I love it. I love it. And then,
Right.
Every time you do a theme, you kind of integrate the main theme into it, which is pretty freaking sweet. So you're like our John.
I actually have been.
What's that?
I'm your what?
You're like our John Williams. You know, we're like Spielberg.
Oh,
I guess if
okay.
you call us Spielberg, I don't know. I don't want to compare us to Spielberg, but you're like our John Williams. You're like coming out with all our music and all that stuff.
Right.
It's super cool.
Or Elfman. I love Danny Elfman.
Ah, Danny Elfman's great too.
and
Very distinct. You know.
Elfman and Burton. I mean, oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, what's your favorite theme from Danny Elfman?
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
I do like the Batman stuff that he does. To me, Batman, like in all of the different forms that it's had, like has been good or kind of not good. And I just think that Michael Keaton's Batman, like the stuff that he does behind that, I just love that. I remember being a kid and listening to that stuff, and I didn't really absorb film scoring at that point, I wouldn't say, but I definitely, it stuck with me, that kind of thing. And certainly Pee-wee's Big Adventure would be another one.
Oh yeah,
another underrated dark classic. There is some really dark music in that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, with what's her face, Large Marge.
It gets really wacky. Oh, the stuff with the dinosaurs, and Large Marge, and like the face, like doing that claymation kind of morphing thing, and ugh.
Do you like Danny Elfman's Batman theme better than the Hans Zimmer Dark Knight one?
Yes, and it's not because obviously like that is really highly produced, and it's fantastic. I wouldn't say that Danny Elfman's version is not very produced, but there's just something about his flavor that's like really appealing to me. It might be because he was in Oingo Boingo.
That's right.
And so he's but yeah, and he's in Back to School too. He has a cameo in that.
Yep.
They're playing like the house party.
Yep, at the bar.
With
no, it was the house party. It was
yeah.
the house party. That's right. Oh my God, that's pulling
Yeah.
way. That's a deep cut, man. That's a long time ago.
Yeah, it
Shit.
is. Well, that's how much I like Danny Elfman. I mean,
yeah, wow.
Stuff that, if you think about Danny Elfman, Batman and Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Big Fish, whatever he's done, you take that and then you go to like Oingo Boingo and you like watch like 3 or 4 songs from like a live show. It's insane. Like it's really, really well produced, like highly arranged music. It's not just a party band, like some new wave stuff from the 80s, 2 or 3 minute song, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus out. It's like these grandiose arrangements for these different songs. He's
wow.
Well, you can't forget
That's
Edward
cool.
Scissorhands too.
Oh, Edward Scissorhands. Oh God, yes. Oh yeah.
Not,
what about TV shows?
Not Edward Penis Hands.
That's the porn version.
What's the porn version? I'm sorry, I just had a little hard time hearing you. No pun intended. What'd you say?
He said Edward Penis Hands. That's the porn version of the movie. What about TV shows?
Do you watch Orange Is the New Black?
I've only watched like 1 episode. No, I've only watched like 1 or 2 episodes.
Oh, okay. Someone in the show like ends up eating a lot of pizza, and they say, "Look, I'm Edward Pizza Hands," and she has like a bunch of different pizzas on both of her hands. So that's what made me think of that. It's not penis hands. It's not like that, but
actually, pizza hands sounds more good.
And then what happens if it is the penis hands? Do they kind of like go on each finger like a corn dog? Are they like gathered like carrying 2 like stalks of broccoli in both hands? Like how does like penis hands work?
BJ,
I haven't either. No, I haven't either. Okay. I can only assume it's penis for fingers. That's the only thing I could assume that's what that is. But
right,
that doesn't seem very practical. Or maybe it is. I don't know. But
maybe
now I can't stop fucking thinking about it and how it works.
Yeah,
I don't.
Exactly.
I don't want to think about it. I'm good.
I'm gonna have to look it up. I'm gonna have to Google this after we get off the air.
Right.
So what about TV shows? Any TV shows that any TV show theme songs that stick out for you?
The Walking Dead and not just because I've been reading the comics since issue 94, um, or I should say I'm reading, and I also have the comics, every comic since issue 94. And they're at like comic 160 or something like that in the 160. So I have a bunch of those.
Growing up, any TV shows that stick out music wise?
that I used to watch growing
Yeah,
up.
like any theme
Did
songs that
you?
kind of like
I used to watch
any theme songs that kind of stuck with you when you grew.
all those like late 80s or like late 80s, early 90s, like sitcoms like Full House, Step by Step, Family Matters. All those songs are amazing because they have the same songwriters, so you can kind of like interchange them. So be like
My favorite two theme
like
songs were actually three, and they were all like from the same mold as far as the show goes. It was Airwolf, Street Hawk, and Knight Rider. All three of those
Yep.
theme songs,
Yep.
ironically, all about vehicles.
those are the songs the shows that you told me to take a look at actually when we were first going
Oh,
over
that's right. That's right.
what you had in mind for the theme song that you said those.
Well, Knight
Knight
Rider.
Rider. Airwolf is actually
Knight Rider has that very distinct that
I borrowed
it
from.
did sound like a lot like Arrow because Knight Rider's that that kind of thing, and
That's where like the bottom layer actually for the theme, like it's like do 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 do. Even though it's not the same thing, that's kind of like what I had
it sounds
in mind.
like a Nintendo game
it's,
I always wanted to play. I think that's what I said when I first heard it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So who I was going to ask you like who would win in a fight? Who would win in a fight? Would it be Danny Elfman or would it be Hans Zimmer? Who would win in a fist fight?
Probably Danny Elfman because he has the penis fingers. So he has the original penis fingers. So
Okay.
What are you watching right now on TV or any movies you just saw recently?
Netflix, Stranger Things was one of the last shows that I got into. Stranger Things
Righteous.
and Westworld.
Fuck yes. Both of those are
What was the second one?
Westworld?
Oh yeah, okay.
Now, I heard that
yeah.
the same composer for Game of Thrones did the music for Westworld as well. It sounds like very similar, but those two soundtracks are pretty amazing too.
His name is I'm gonna butcher his name, but it's like Ramin Jawin. I'm just gonna butcher the name, so I won't say it. But I love his stuff too.
Yeah.
Like his intros are just fantastic. Actually, I watched the first season of Outlander, which the intro music or all of the score for that show is by Bear McCreary, who actually does the music for The Walking Dead and the movie 10 Cloverfield Lane, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh shit.
And he did the reincarnation of Battlestar Galactica.
Oh my god.
Oh, nice.
That dude's freaking busy. Damn.
Oh god, and they're all so different too. Like all the music that he has for all of them, they're so incredibly different. He's really like impressive. I love Danny Elfman, but to me, Bear like can touch on a lot of different pieces of music for a lot of different genres, and it's crazy. That guy is definitely busy.
All right, let's end the podcast on this question. So, take your time for this answer. What are your top 3 movies of all time?
I think of the first two, Stand By Me and Spaceballs, because it's my favorite drama, favorite comedy. And the third would probably be Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
The original,
Wait,
right?
which one? Which one?
Gene Wilder.
Okay.
Good.
Gene Wilder.
Good.
I didn't know if you were going to go to the Tim Burton version because of Danny Elfman.
No, absolutely not. The first one, the music for the Gene Wilder one is just like every song is a classic to me.
Yes.
Every single one. The Danny Elfman version, it's not like his fault, but I hated the music for that one. I hate saying that, but it didn't feel Danny Elfman-ish to me. Felt like they were trying to like do a little bit of like they're trying to change the music so much that I feel like they kind of were almost doing it just to do it at some point.
Yeah, it seems like that ironically the how the movie felt too.
Right.
So Kenny, free plug for anything you want. You want to give out some, an email, like a business email or anything, or plug anything that's coming up for you, that our listeners can go to if anybody wants music to be written.
I'm in a few different bands now. One of them is called Everything Falls. That we're like a modern hard rock band, I guess you could say. And our vocalist has a southern drawl, like from a Tennessee drawl going on. So it's a it's a nice mix of heavy music with kind of a country flavor. It doesn't really have country in it, but I think we're starting to like go that direction a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And that one is everythingfallsmusic.com.
You guys are on iTunes too.
Yes, we are. He's put out 2 EPs. The band leader, Aaron Linkus, he's put 2 EPs out. The second one of which that I was on, Through the Storm. And so, yeah, if you go on YouTube. I'm sorry. Yeah, you can go on YouTube too. But if you go on iTunes, you can definitely purchase songs individually or the EP.
Wow.
I'm also in a symphonic metal band called Anatomy of the Sacred. Okay, yeah. Scratch that. It's everythingfallsband.com. I'm glad I'm picking that out because I know I'm Aaron will kill me if I don't correct that. So I'm in Everything Falls, and the site for that one is everythingfallsband.com. And I'm in a symphonic metal band, Anatomy of the Sacred. I'm also in a Eric Clapton cover / tribute band. So, and in that one we do songs from all over Clapton's career. So we do Cream songs, Blind Faith, Derek and the Dominoes, his solo stuff, and we also do songs that he's been a part of, whether it's like with B.B. King doing like blues songs, or While My Guitar Gently Weeps with the Beatles. And that one's a lot of fun. That one I'm like just purely a lead guitar player. I kind of just go and I just do whatever I want, and I love that. Love that kind of atmosphere in a band.
Nice. Well, it sounds like you're extremely busy. You got a lot going on.
Yeah, when the bands are all like doing shows, it definitely is a lot more hectic than like around now. Everyone has families. They're not all typical, 20 something, 30 something bands where going on the road and packing up a van for 3 weeks in a row. Everyone in the band, in every band that I'm in, is either a father or married, or they still have families. So it's a lot easier to schedule stuff with more than one band or more than 2 bands when when everyone is kind of not still in that 20-year-old rock phase where you're going on like radio shows and telling girls that they're a butterface.
Good times. Good times.
Which of course is obviously, fun. But
we really appreciate your music, man. We really appreciate it. I love listening to it, and the fans out there, I'm sure there's a lot of fans out there that actually love the theme music. Sometimes they say it's a little too long, but I like it. And the outro music is good too.
Thank you. No, I appreciate that. Yeah, the length is just all about like cutting down parts.
Yeah.
No. I'm gonna be doing a shorter version of the intro. I'm gonna put that one out pretty soon. So
we're stoked.
Tuned for that.
Yeah, we're stoked.
One last thing, Kenny, before we sign off here. You want to give out an email address or a way to contact you in case anybody wants to contact you for theme music?
Absolutely, yeah. If if there is anyone that does want a composer for their theme for their theme music for a podcast, my email address is ksheldon123@gmail.com.
Awesome. And we could post that as well. We could tweet it, put it on our social media as well when
Nice.
this drops. So
Oh, that's great.
All right, Kenny. Well, thanks for coming on. This is our 1 year anniversary show.
No problem.
Again with Kenny Sheldon, our composer for this podcast. Hopefully in 2017 we have a few more different themes for Kenny to write up for you guys to listen to. BJ, anything else?
no, that's it. I mean, in the meantime, stay tuned for more goodness.
Please keep listening to Chew on This.